please welcome the only man whose Audi is taller than his innie, and whose waffle parties are standing room only, your host and moderator, Conan O'Brien.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for that very warm and inviting AI introduction from the voice of God. I'll be brief because we have a huge cast. We have a wonderful, beautiful, complex, fantastic show that is just awe-inspiring, and we have a limited amount of time. So I'm not going to make this about me, but I will begin with a long story. I was 11. We're not going to do that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about Severance tonight, which, for my money, let's give it up for Severance. Severance deserves it all. It deserves Emmys. It deserves Oscars. It deserves all the awards. I love this show. This show means a great deal to me. I walked here from the west side of Los Angeles to be here tonight. And so let me get the entire cast out here, and we will talk it down. Ladies and gentlemen, Gwendolyn Christie. I want to bring her out here. Sam Bach. Getting everyone out. Michael Chernus. Jen Tulloch. D. Chen Lockman. Tremel Tillman. Zach Cherry. Britt Lauer. Patricia Arquette. Adam Scott. Dan Erickson. I'm sorry, they said get them all out here and get them fast. Ben Stiller. Well, that's awkward. There's no chair for me. Oh, here we go. Wow. All right. Very good, Apple. Chair missing for host. We'll share. Let me begin by just, while I'm still standing, congratulating everybody on the cast, executive producers, on what I think is one of the greatest achievements in television. I really do. I think this show is absolutely fantastic. And I want to start with just a question for all of you, which is, this show is a global phenomenon. Are you enjoying that? Have you had time to enjoy that as this is rolling out? Feel free to jump in, any of you. Are you enjoying this moment, this series of moments?
Yes. More.
Next question. They said ask the group a question. I thought that would be appropriate. Are you guys able to take it in? Because I would just hope that you would. Sometimes you're so busy making one of these shows, you're in the making of it, and you get disconnected from the joy of what people here are experiencing. And I think it would be nice for all of you to know that this is a huge deal and that it's bringing people a lot of joy. I think your name is Adam. Yes, you have something to
that's
say?
me. Yeah, I think, we kind of are able to, or at least I'm able to take it in kind of piecemeal here and there. I know there have been a few occasions over the past few months where we're all together and we can kind of look at each other and just sort of marvel at what has happened. And I feel like it's happened a few times, and each time it's happened, the reach of the show has expanded, and we've all been kind of overwhelmed all over again, and just so beyond flattered and delighted by the fact that people are connecting with the show.
I think it's not just connecting with it. People have made it part of their lives. They're trying to figure out what's happening. They're trying to read things into it, find out where it's going to go, and there's a level of emotional connection that I've never had on late night television, frankly. I never wanted it. I'm a cold person, but that must feel very nice for all of you, and I would hope so. I would hope that would feel great. As I said, we don't have the luxury of a ton of time, so I'm going to make sure I get to everyone, but I'm going to start with you, Ben. We talked recently. Really, you guys have to share a mic?
I guess so, yeah.
It's Apple. It's they make $1 billion a second, and they had to find me a chair at the last minute, and you two are sharing a mic.
I know. They spent all the money on the room upstairs.
I see, yeah. Yeah, it's the tariffs. All right, here we go. Oh, yes!
Yeah.
Yeah! They just bought that. They ran down Hollywood Boulevard and bought a microphone. Right now, Tim Cook is like, who paid for this? Ben, you and I had a chat recently. I came to your house unannounced, and he knows I'm a huge Severance fan. I was talking to you about the first thing that grabbed me about this show is I feel as a viewer that everything's been thought of, that I'm in great hands. The look of the show is one of the first things that struck me, the attention to detail, the colors, everything. As a director, it feels like you've put a ton of thought into what this world looks like. Is that a fair thing for me to say?
I guess so. I mean, yeah. Yes.
This panel blows.
No, thanks, Conan. I mean, we have an incredible team,
Yeah.
you know, and as you can see, I mean, our production designer, Jeremy Hindle, our brilliant cinematographer and director, Jessica Lee Gagne, Sarah Edwards, Kat Miller, our proper. I'm just saying these people because these are the people who created the show together, and that it was a. I don't know how it happens other than you have an idea of what you want it to be.
Right.
And Dan wrote this very specific tone, and so it was really fun to put it all together. And yeah, we've been doing it pretty much for like the last 5 years, and you know, you were saying about like feeling like the appreciation of it. It's weird because like when we're making the show, usually we're in just like making the show for like whatever period of time, which is, you know, has been because we had the, you know, COVID the first time and the strike the second time. It's been over a couple of years. So that period of time it feels different than when it's out in the world, and then it's just out in the world as its own thing. So it's hard to sort of, I don't know, like accept that. Like I feel like these things are really fun and wonderful, but it's a weird thing. I don't know. Do you feel this in television? Like when you're not like people aren't in a movie theater watching it. Like it's so exciting for us to be able to have you guys see it in a theater and hear reactions and all that. But when you make television, it's weirdly disconnected because you don't get that, you know, feedback, though millions of people might be watching it. So
Millions of people around the world, and I know that talking to you, it would be a surprise to some because you're such a well-known actor. You're a face that everyone in the world knows, that directing has always meant so much to you. We've talked about this. You and I met in the late 1980s, and you were always interested in...
not a joke.
No, it's not a joke. I'm sorry, I just outed us
I mean,
as being 78 years old. We met, we were both at a 50th birthday party for each other. No, but I knew how much directing meant to you then and what a passion it was. And so, you know, there might be people that would think, oh, you know, Ben's going to peek in or pop up as a character. It's like, no, you're just very much interested in this being your directing or a big part of your directing legacy.
Yeah, and it's very clear to me that that's what my job on the show, and being a producer and working with everybody on the show, and then appreciating the actors and how good they are on the show. And that's the most fun for me is when we're making the show, is when we're filming, to be able to just watch these performances and be the first audience for it, you know? And just sort of like oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, keep doing that. Or, you know, whatever it is, the process is when you're working with great actors, they have such clear instincts, and it becomes, and then over the course of years, because you've done it, you know, the same character, they start to know these characters more than Dan or I really know them, and will advocate for them. And that process is so much fun. I love it.
Now, my question for Dan Erickson is a very simple one, because this world comes out of your head to a large extent. What's wrong with you? Because it's and this is a compliment coming from me, but clearly to think of these concepts and these ideas, to have this thought and to see it through to this level, and I never know what to expect from this show. I'm constantly surprised, disturbed, elated. and I just think you need a lot of help. Talk to me about it. Does it? I mean, when you're working on a show like this, to see your vision come true must have felt like a 1 in a billion chance.
It does, yeah, it did. And you know, look, therapy is expensive, and this show was the next best option. I do think that you know this was something where the idea came because actually, and this is true. So a lot of people know that I had this idea while I was working at a door factory, and I was walking into the door factory. This was here in LA, and I was like, I want so much to just be able to like jump to the end of the day, and the whole thing kind of came from that. But most of the pilot actually, because I was promptly fired from the door factory, in part because I was like not doing the job. I was working on this, and I got a new job working actually next door to the building we're in right now. At a school, and so I was doing like administrative work in that school. So most of the pilot was actually written across the street from where we are right now. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But I think that to me it's just something. It's like you ask what is wrong with me, and the answer is plenty. But also I would argue it's wrong with all of us. As well.
Yeah. And I meant it as a compliment. I mean, that's just, when someone's, my father said to me once when he saw me say a bunch of strange things in a row, he said, oh, I see, and he was a scientist, he said, I see what's happening. You're profiting off of something that should probably be treated.
Right.
And
right.
that was, and he was saying it not like a joke, like, oh, I see, yes, I see.
Yeah.
And this is, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How was your relationship with your dad?
Well,
Can we get into it?
we don't speak anymore. Adam Scott. Yes. You're getting too much love these days, so I'm going to sort of go after you,
Love it.
Take you
Love
down a notch.
Great. I deserve it.
I have to, we are friendly, and I've just been in awe of this show and your performance. You've always given terrific performances throughout your career. This is a whole other level, and I'm talking about specifically about there's so many moments, but the scenes in this season where your innie and your outie are debating, and I'm just thinking as an acting challenge, I have to admit that would be, I can't even begin how one would prepare to do that, but you did create, you're the same person, but you have two very different perspectives, and when you are being condescending to yourself, it is fascinating to me, and I loved that scene, and I think it's one of the better scenes. And one point I wanted to make is people try and make a distinction between there's film and there's television, and I think we're beyond those days now. To me, this is cinema. Severance is cinema. It's great. And I think that was a beautiful performance. Really great.
Thanks, Conan. Thank you very much.
What did you do that day? How did you get ready to do something like that?
From the time that Dan and Ben were like, the innie and outie need to talk. And it made sense because the season was sort of this collision course between the innie and the outie mark. They start with similar interests, and then they start diverging to the point where they have to talk at some point because they just have to. But from the point that Dan told me that the scene was gonna happen, I was freaked out about it. It was kind of on the horizon, and there's nothing I could do. It was coming.
Yeah.
We were going to have to shoot it at some point, and I was freaked out about it just because I didn't want to. It's a perfect opportunity to blow it. And there's so many opportunities in that like 10-page scene to blow it. But I think that we kind of approached it just bit by bit. And I was lucky to have Ben directing, Jessica being the DP, and then Dan and Bo Williman and Mark Friedman really working on the scene right up until the last second till we shot it. It was being rewritten and reworked. And so we just kind of went bit by bit, and I recorded the other side of the conversation in my apartment on my phone, and so we kind of used those videos. And I think it was 2 or 3 days we took to shoot it. It was really hard, but it was really fun, and I just completely leaned on Ben to tell me what was working, what was not, because it was hard for me to tell. And so, yeah, that was. I will say that that it, by far, working with myself, it was the most difficult actor I've ever worked with.
I'm told that you wouldn't speak to yourself for a while and refused to come out of your
10
trailer.
days.
Yeah. Nasty. The pivot to stay with Helly, which people here just saw and saw in the finale, is such going to be an iconic moment in the show. And I'm just curious how you prepare for something like that. I mean, how does one, as an actor, because we've seen in this season your whole relationship with your wife, how much that means to you with Gemma, and then to make that pivot, it short circuits the brain a little bit, but it also makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think that, again, that was sort of going to be the end of the season for a while. We were kind of always heading in that direction, but then when we were there and it was time to shoot it, and the three of us are in that hallway, it was really emotional. It was really hard to see Deechin on the other side of that door. It was tough, and I know Deechin pounded the shit out of her hand on that door.
And Deechin probably also felt like, hey, what the fuck,
Exactly.
Hello, we're married,
We had told her the scene went the other way.
Yeah.
No, that's not true.
But Deechin, I'll just jump right to you too, because you see it in your face. Like, it's a very hard, profoundly difficult thing to capture in a moment, but what a great moment and heartbreaking.
Oh yeah, I mean, Gemma's timeline in 10 is crazy. She walks into that room, she walks out, there's her husband, they're in an elevator, and then she's outside and he's walking away from her. So it's like, it must just be so confusing, and just that desperation to like try and reach. I mean, I decided, maybe I'm wrong, but that she kind of realized that it wasn't him walking away from her, but that she was just trying to reach out to him.
Interesting.
But,
okay.
but I don't know. I mean, that's the only logical explanation for him walking away from her.
The reason I wanted to host this panel primarily is to find out, is it cheating if you've been severed?
Yes.
I've been happily married.
It is.
Okay, you think it is, because that's the reason I said I walked here from very far in the western part of Los Angeles. I have a very happy marriage of 23 years, but this whole concept of, this excuse is fantastic. We'll get to that. We're going to explore that more. Patricia, you did something in this season which I think is exquisitely difficult to do, and you did it beautifully. I really, I think like a lot of us, hated Ms. Cobell. I hated her. And no, I'm using the past tense. I was so mad at you. I was so angry with you. And I, again, it's the producing, it's the writing, it's so much, but you managed to steer this ship around, and I really felt for you. And I think that is the essence of superb drama and art, is to force you to see people who at first you label as heinous or this person's just cold, and they're, and then you turned it around, and I thought this was a spectacular arc for you this season.
Thank you. I'm the most judgmental person I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
But that is what I like about acting. And that's what Dan wrote, and that's what Ben brought. And I think also people who are indoctrinated to either like intense religions or cults or armies or corporations, they're taught to kind of cut off and be a certain way. And you don't get to see this other side. So it was nice to be able to see that other side. I mean, she'd been indoctrinated into Lumen for so long. And I just wanted to say about your work, I remember the first season when you were, you know, the innie was like a baby almost, like a 4-year-old. It was so innocent. And then this season, you're innie like growing up. And yes, this kind of conversation between this other side of you and how you can kind of manipulate and try to con yourself. That was also what was really interesting about that whole thing, and how the innie was like didn't really trust the outie, you know, like, I know what you're doing, how you're manipulating me. And I thought that was so interesting, because even though we don't admit it, these are things we do to ourselves. So there's so many weird parallels to real life.
Yeah, I think when we see that you were a young girl and that you won this prize and that you were something important had come into your life, you suddenly have an empathy for your character, and that you did all this work and you're brilliant and you came up with these ideas and they were stolen from you. That whole arc gave me a completely different attitude about your character, which is the point of these shows, is to make us think differently.
Well, it's like even though her and her aunt have this animosity with each other, they both love Kier. And she has so much from her aunt in a weird way. Like, she has acquired that stuff. She does, in a weird way, even want her aunt to be proud of her. So there's just so many weird layers I think we have with our family injuries and our patterns with each other, and how we're trying to work those things out, play that same pattern out over and over again.
All right, I want to move on to Britt Lauer. Again, I'm a massive fan of your work, and you pulled off something. We're talking about difficult acting challenges when you were feigning, pretending to be your innie when you're outie. You're not Helly, you're Helena, and people are. It's so subtle, and you know, I went back and watched it later on to try and figure out where the turns are happening, or where maybe we might see that this is that you're putting people on. But that was an amazing performance, and my hat's off to you. I don't have a hat, but if I had a hat, I would remove it right now. My hat would be off to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, I want to thank you, because it was maybe 8 years ago you let me paint your face. And
that was the severed me. There was nothing, and my wife knows about it. And then I learned about it later on, and ultimately went back to her.
Okay, well, now I know, but
well, you should explain what the context of me.
It was my first time going on late night.
Yep.
And you, on my way to the show, the producer said, "Can you bring your face paint? Conan wants you to paint his face." It's a skill set.
Okay, now it sounds like that's something that I'm demanding of all the women that go on my program. I was told that was to stop that 5 years ago, and I have. Continue, Britt.
No, but it is a skill set that I do have.
Yes.
I turned you into a giraffe cat, like a surrealist giraffe.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. I kept it on for a while.
I know.
I wore it for 3 weeks.
You were so generous, and you're so generous tonight. Thank you.
I'm here as a fan. I am absolutely here as a fan, and I'm in awe of this show. And
I didn't answer your question at all.
No, but you complimented me, and I think we can move on. There is a lot of chatter online about fans really get obsessed with what you're wearing, how that relates to what's happening, the shades of blue, you know, the depth to which people go. And I don't know what's really thought about. Sometimes fans see things that aren't there, but the style is so incredible.
Yeah, you know, season 1, I was really interested in this idea of this woman waking up in an office, and she's wearing this outfit that she didn't put on. She's like, what are pantyhose? Like, why this object on my foot that is uncomfortable to walk in? And it was actually really informative for, like, get me out of this, like, get me out of here. And I think so many of my lines of dialogue in season 1, in the perspective of Helly R, were questions. Like, why are you doing things like this? Why are you behaving like that? Really investigating the Lumen world. And the exciting part about season 2 was getting to step into the role of someone who has grown up in that company, like Cobell, and I was so informed by Trammell, your performance, and getting to watch as Helly R, being like, what are they doing? And then all of a sudden, I'm in their perspective. And I had a real empathy for how these workers within Lumen, even if they're not innies, are trapped in a different way. And everyone is sort of under someone else.
Yeah, I think when it used to be that television would give you heroes and villains, and now we live in a world where there's more time, and you can get to almost a novel-like depth. And Trammell, it's a very good example of, we can see you as just a company man, and we can see you as just this this character who's there to sort of, enforce the rules, and then we can start to see you go through all of this disappointment and these challenges, which are heartbreaking. And I think it's a chance to unfold a little bit over time, whereas at first it'd be easy to sort of stereotype, okay, he's just the company man. I'm curious, do you think after season 2, you're still a company man?
I think that's a great question.
I was told to look out for you. It says on the card, look out. Trammell. I did tell you backstage, I want to be you. I want to come back as you in the next life. For me, it was the episode where you get on the motorcycle with the leather jacket, and I was like, that's the life I want. That's how I want to leave work at my podcast every night. I want to put on that exact same helmet. I want to dance. Yeah, I really do. So that is my desire.
Well, Lumen is accepting applications. Please submit your resume.
Zach Cherry, you are, like everyone else here, you're just killing it every week on the show and doing such a fantastic job. And what I've really enjoyed is that you, as an actor, you're so good at, you seem to be so good at having this coiled up, I want to do my job, I don't want to rock the boat, and then you are able to explode in defiance in these ways that are so satisfying. And you've done it more than once, and each time you do it, I stand up wherever I'm watching it, and I'm just like, yes! And so I applaud you for that. I don't know how one coils oneself up that way to be able to explode like that. But you do it with such reserve, and then you're so mad, and it comes out. It's fantastic. You must be a very angry man.
I don't think so, but I guess we'll see. We'll see how the rest of this goes. I'm currently coiled, so.
That's your status on Facebook? Is there ever improvisation on the set? And this is, there's no one from the WGA here, so I'm allowed to ask that question. Are you ever allowed to, I understand the show is very written and worked out, but is there chances to play around with the character within that?
Yeah, little bits for sure. And I don't know how much of it even makes the show, but like when I came onto the show, talking to Ben, I came up doing improv comedy, and I kind of let him know that that's helpful for me to just kind of find the character and find the boundaries of the character. So he's always very encouraging of letting me kind of like figure it out as we go, and that was super helpful, especially in season 1, kind of as we were figuring out the tone and who everyone was.
Do you think, it's very interesting because I found myself liking I think we all do, we have a real connection with your innie, and then we're disappointed in your outie. Like, get your ass in gear. Is it fun to play those two people?
Yeah, it was. And I think, I spent so much time with the Innie in season 1 that I think I also have a little bit of an affinity for him. But it was fun meeting the Outie, and I also think they kind of are, they're definitely two sides of the same guy. And I think the Innie is the guy who likes himself, and the Outie is kind of the guy who doesn't like himself. And so, I share both of their opinions.
And you're also a little jealous of your Innie, which is really fantastic. You have these great scenes where you're, asking your wife, well, what is it about this guy?
And to speak to your question about is it cheating if you're separate, I will say my wife in real life will sometimes get mad at me about things my characters do. And she was not happy with me when I was rude to Gretchen early on. When I was at the job interview scene, she was like, I can't believe you were rude to her on the phone. She had no issue with what Gretchen did at all.
Fantastic.
So maybe we need to talk further about that.
No, I'd be happy to talk, because for years I would tell my wife, she'd see something I did on TV, and I'd say, honey, that's Conan. So you asshole, you're him. And I'd go, oh. Yeah, it's fascinating. This whole notion is fascinating of these different lives, and actually being able to be jealous, or in your case, Adam, outright confronting yourself and arguing with yourself about choices and what's the best choice and who should you stay with, and being kind of, it starts out friendly and then it's just almost contemptuous, and you think we're getting to something here that is very elemental about who we are.
Yeah.
I've got better things to do.
No, I think that was the
I actually don't. It's a Saturday night, and I watch Severance, and I wait to do this panel. That's pretty much my life these days. So
that was the interesting thing about trying to build that scene, and how well written it was finding those kind of areas in the conversation where it's like reading it and being like, okay, this would be annoying, and trying to find those areas where the kind of sparks begin and where a confrontation starts, and where the passive aggressive parts start. And it was all in there, and it was just a matter of digging it out and finding it.
one of the relationships on the show is with your sibling, Jen, and you do an amazing job, Jen. Jen Tulloch as Devin. Devin, one of the turns in this season is, and by the way, I'm someone who, a lot of us have siblings, and we see them portrayed on television. I think, it's not really a sibling relationship. You guys have an amazingly accurate sibling relationship, and it is fun to watch. In this season, you shift to trusting harmony, which is, even as a viewer, I was like, no.
Yes.
Idiot! No! No!
Yes.
No, I say no, Patricia, no!
Okay, guys.
What was that turn like for you?
It was hard
Yeah.
because I think I felt that too when I read it. And I thought, I've got to figure out why. And, I have the easiest job on the show because it's the lightest lift to just pretend to love Adam and want what's best for him. But I think when it got down to that stuff, it was a little more complicated because she's a character we've come to know as warm and affable, and she leads with humor. But what does it look like when someone who's been a bit privileged suddenly finds more out about the world than they had bargained for? And how does that turn happen? And I don't think she's making great decisions. I think she's desperate. She's underslept. She's got a baby at home. There's a fissure in her marriage, if you can believe it, with this guy.
What?
I know. We'll talk. But to answer your question, because I get asked that a lot, I've incurred the ire of some cousins I had not heard from in at least 15 years, who were like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Yeah.
But I think.
But that's how invested people get.
Yeah,
It's
truly.
the classic, someone stopping you in a supermarket and saying, "How could you?" It's like, no, that's a
Right.
role I played, but people are that invested.
But I do think that turn for her speaks to what's at the heart of the show, which is like what happens when people are pushed. And I don't think it's a great decision, but I think it's the only one she has. And when she finds out what she does about Gemma, who she loves so much, I think she just goes into turbo mode,
you mentioned Michael, your husband, Michael Chernus, Rickon. I'm very curious to read the book that you've written and wonder, like, is that book good?
No, it's
Lumen
great.
seems to love it.
Great.
They love it. And you are so, I love the way you play. All of us can be easily turned by a compliment. And the minute.
Thank you.
No, it's just such a great insight into human nature that someone who works for a company that you may even think is evil says, "Hey, and by the way, you're working." Really? Oh. Yeah. Well, so, what do you think is coming? Do you think that your character had the Kool-Aid?
No, I mean, I think, he's Kool-Aid curious.
Yep.
Maybe he's had like a little sip, but he's not carrying around like a Stanley thermos full of lumen juice. He's just,
Takes little sips every now
little
and then.
sips. Yeah, I think he's a thirsty man, and the attention feels good.
Right.
But like he said, it's a Trojan's horse, Conan.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I don't know what you're talking about. I never mentioned Trojan horse.
No, Rickon mentions the Trojan's horse.
No, I know. But for you to bring it up and to say it was me means that you've disassociated from yourself and you're as insane as anyone on the show.
Get back to complimenting me.
It really is. Sarah Bach, you started working on this show. Let's give it up for Sarah Bach. You really popped this year, and you have these amazing scenes with Trammell. It just, your dynamic is like unlike anything I've seen on TV. I know that it's a long process to make this show, and you were very young when it started, and now it says here you're 58 years old.
Yeah.
Just had your third hip replacement. How did you feel that scene where you're forced to smash your toy? That broke my heart. It's such an innocent toy. Why?
Yeah, it was so sad because I felt so connected to the toy too because it was in my callback. It was like my first day on set I had it, so it was like my emotional support water toy.
Yes.
So smashing that, it also kind of felt like I was like, I don't know, smashing like the younger version of the character and myself who had come on set. That was sad.
We could get you another one for $4.
Oh, sick. But yeah, I mean, also like Miss Hong is so stoic and serious, so like getting to see that like window into her childishness was really fun to do.
It was sweet, yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, like doing it with Trammell was incredible because
Again, I'm a big fan of Trammell, but when he made you do that, then I went back into hating Trammell again. So, and I can feel it now. It's there's this anger surging within me. This is me
Becoming
angry, by the way,
uncoiled.
just sort of sitting here with geeky glasses. Ti-Chen, I have to ask you about the arc for Gemma this year. That is such an important part of the story to bring her to life. And once you bring her to life, it changes everything about the stakes. And so I was wondering, how much of that did you know about your character before you got involved in the project? How much backstory was made available to you?
Well, just in first season, just what the other characters had said about her.
Yeah.
And that beautiful moment in episode 8 when Mark puts the photograph together after tearing it up and, he speaks. So, and when you do season 1 of a show, you never know if you're going to even get a chance to do season 2. So I didn't know a lot, but I will say a tremendous amount of effort on everyone's part to really bring her to life in episode 7. Just the attention to detail with the hair and makeup department and costumes and the set design and just, Jessica's idea to do the flashbacks on film.
Yes, yeah.
With that texture and the light and that warmth. And, when you have so many people taking so much care of the character, it's so enormously helpful.
Yeah. Well, as a viewer, I know that it doesn't happen often, but when people are putting a great amount of care into, I almost said the product, but suddenly that's Apple talking. Come on, you can laugh. They're not here. They're listening, but they're not here. But when you realize that you're not being talked down to, that you're being actually the show is treating you like an intelligent person, and expecting you to find all the work that's gone into it and hoping that you do. And if you put that work and you find those things, you feel rewarded, and there's a trust there that makes this show very unique, I think. So.
And I also think after the first season, we were so the reactions of the audience and the fans they were paying attention to so much that it just was so encouraging. And from even you put that out every time, but then the second season we knew they were watching it so closely, so it just kind of builds on itself. And I've just been continually blown away by the fan creative replies to the show and the things that they've made, edits and photography, art, music, that it just really, I've never felt that with anything that I've been involved with, where people are so interactive with something. And
it's a conversation.
Yeah, and it really feeds into what we're doing too.
Backstage, Gwendolyn Christie approached me and said, "Do not ask me a question." And if you think I'm not going to ask you a question, Gwendolyn, you're insane.
I do think you're not going to ask me a question.
You are so intimidating. Now, I'm a big fan of yours, Gwendolyn, and several years ago we spoke, and I said, you should come over and have dinner at my house with the wife, and you said yes, and we exchanged information. You never called me.
I never called. I never I haven't seen you since then.
Was it because I demanded you paint my face?
It's because you didn't demand it.
Damn it, I never know. I never pick up on the cues. I am so excited to see where your character takes us going forward, Lauren, because Lauren really pops. And to say on Severance there's a character who seems particularly unique is really saying something. I was so happy to see you appear on the show and love your performance, and I'm very curious to see what's coming.
I'm excited.
See, I didn't ask you a question. I made a statement, and you could just agree. So we're good, right?
I'm really excited.
Okay. All right, that takes care of that. Jesus Christ. I don't get paid, I get paid nothing. Oh, maybe at Christmas I'll get an Apple Watch. Nope, never do. It's just a way for them to watch you anyway. Ben, it occurs to me, and this is for you too, Dan, that this is a show. You had spoken about how you haven't had this experience before, and so much of your career has been making things, and they come out, and you've moved on by the time they come out. This is a chance for you to be involved in something that's getting under people's skins, and not just here in the United States, globally. People are watching this show, people are infatuated with this show, and then they're waiting for the next thing, and it is a different experience for you. You said this is unique, and you've had this insanely spectacular career, but this is a new thing where now, okay, next season's coming up, and you guys, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Obviously, we don't want to know right now, but, I mean, I do. You'll tell me backstage, but this would be a new experience for you to be involved in this dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, it has been basically something that just started with loving this pilot script that Dan wrote, and then wanting to be involved in it as we started to build it, wanting to be more and more involved in it. First, I thought I was just going to direct the pilot, and then it ended up that I wanted to be as involved as I could be, and then it ended up sort of being my job for the last 4 or 5 years, and loving it. So I've never, it's new territory. I've obviously been around a while, like you. And
okay, let's not be mean. I served this country in the Vietnam War. I did a good job. Did my time.
But we, I've never been on a series that ever got picked up or had a second season or anything like that. So just to have this, the reward at the end of doing a first season that works for people is that then you have to come back and do a second season. And that's both exciting and great, but also daunting. And I think we all feel that, is that we just want to continually keep, building the show in the way that we think is, true to what it is. And that's a process. And it's like a weird creative process that is, I don't know, any process on anything is always different. And it seems every time we go into it on the show, we have a different set of obstacles and things we're trying to figure out. And it's always about trying to just make the thing as good as we think we can make it. So it's been a really fascinating and great experience, and challenging in the best way too.
Do you feel pressure to, okay, people love this show, they love where we're going, I'm holding these expectations on my shoulders. Does it feel that way to you at all, then?
No, I sleep great. No, it is. It was. I will say, the first season was very, very daunting because my biggest gig before that had been the lip sync battle pre-show, which is it's a 5-minute YouTube hype show for the lip sync battle, where you try to get people to watch it. And I remember at one point we had to have a meeting because like one guy commented on our video, and we were like, oh, we got to address his thing. So, this is different. This is different.
Slightly. It's really the same idea,
What was your comment, Conan?
I'm going to go near that.
More face paint.
Yeah, and I walked all the way here.
Okay. Season 3, we are having a lip sync battle.
Hey!
You heard it here.
Is there any way I could be incorporated into the show in some way? And don't giggle, that undermines my chances of this happening. Back in the 70s, and yeah, I've been around, they do like a goofy thing on Happy Days where, oh no, and then this celebrity comes by. And I don't think that would hurt Severance at all.
Look,
what do you think, Gwendolyn?
I think it would just be tremendous if you were to play Lorne's husband.
I don't know what you're on, but I want some.
Don't you think?
Come on, I'd be a good company man.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. That is our time. I just want to wrap up by saying it was an honor and a privilege to be here tonight and be with this group of creators and the people that were mentioned earlier who are here tonight, who do so much on this show. It's something really rare and special. And another way, just personally, I have a 19-year-old son who is a very smart kid with extremely amazing taste. This is his show, and when an episode comes out, we talk about it. And keep in mind, he does not love me. That's to give you some idea of how powerful this show is. He actively dislikes me because I'm a narcissist. But anyway, this show is just doing such great work, and it was an honor to be up here today and tonight with all of you. And I cannot wait for season 3, which I think is slated for 15 years from now. It'll debut in a post-apocalyptic landscape. Come on, these are fun jokes because they're true. Thank you all very much. And would one of my overlords here, you're all dressed in black, you say, we'll give you a signal, but you don't really. Cut it off now. Okay, was there anything else that happens after that? I want to thank everyone who attended tonight, and on behalf of the Severance cast, thanks for being here.